we have the Dominion League Championship between Qsenoch and Cider01, uh, joined by TeamOkay.
Hello.
Howdy. So, looking at the standings, Cider's in first with a 1911 record. Mick and Kazu tied for second, and then played a play-in match, which Mick won. So Mick will be taking on Cider. And given the discrepancy here, I believe it is that Mick needs at least 4.5 wins out of 6 to win, because they play 6 games, but those just get added on to your season-long totals, and so you have to be the winner at the end of that, which gives an advantage to the person who came in first. This means Cider only needs 2 wins to clinch it. Your keyboard is exceptionally loud.
Sorry about that. Let's see. I guess less typing in chat in that case. Which works, so I can talk to them.
All right. First Kingdom, what do we got? Okay, so off the bat, there's no trashing. We got all the other things that are necessary to do stuff. You got draw with advisor, patrician, or golem, or kind of cursed village. You got villages with town and cursed village and golem. You got plus buy, messenger town, baron, hackers gains, camel trains gain esque. Little awkward though. Like the draw is not phenomenal here. Golem is a very weak card in the best of days. Advisor is not great when your deck is full of junk, because they'll just pitch all your good cards and you're incredibly liable to dud. And Patrician, also very unlikely to hit with a deck full of junk. Cursed Village, another card that is also hamstrung by junk, because if once you got a bunch of coppers and estates in your hand, you have no way to get them out of your hand, and you just get 6 of those, and the Cursed Village is like draw nothing. And so you got a bunch of cards here that would be a lot happier if you had any trashing whatsoever. Well, I guess you do have one source of trashing, which is you could get the Locust Hex, which would trash something from your deck.
Classic double Locust.
Yeah. But that makes this kingdom weird, awkward. I honestly think you could see Golem see play here, just because it's the one card that is really at its best, which is not a high bar, but it is at its best when thinning is weak or non-existent, because it sifts through a bunch of your junk to find your action cards, whereas all the other draw cards get much weaker in the presence of a junky deck.
Yes, this looks like a great case for Golem. My question if it's even fast enough to compete with something like Haggler Money with a Camel Train or two mixed in.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think Haggler Money does not seem unreasonable, just given how weak this kingdom is. You do have a little bit of alt VP in the form of the Emporium pile, and that's something. But
True.
yeah, like the engine here is awkward and slow enough that I would certainly not rule just a simple money deck out.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the Emporium piles, you have to get through 5 patricians to get there, and that doesn't look very good.
Yeah.
Because there's no good 5 costs here, save Haggler.
Yeah, I feel like in a lot of cases I'm not unhappy buying early patricians or early-ish, because they end up being pretty good cards at the end of the game. Like there's like labs when your deck gets good. But in this kingdom, that's never going to be the case, because you're just never going to be rid of your coppers and estates and stuff. And also a lot of the other cards don't cost 5 or more. And so Patrician does look a lot worse here than usual, which makes Emporium harder to get.
Yeah. I like what Cider's done the first couple turns.
Yeah, so Cider has a 3/4 open City Gate, which gives you a 60% chance to hit 5 on turn 2, because you will have 5 cards in your discard, 3 which are coppers. You'll get to draw one of those cards, and then if you drew a copper, you can put one back, or put your estate back and keep the copper, and then you hit 5. Now that's not as good as just having a 2/5, for example, because you have trigger to shuffle, and so the top of your deck you just like know for sure is kind of meh. But when it works, it's actually not bad. Mick, by contrast, had the 4/3, and so had an opportunity to even do that. What was that?
Sorry, no, I was just going to point out the other thing that props up 3/4 as opposed to 2/5 when you do get the 5 on turn 2 is that you do have City Gate now. You don't have to buy it in the future.
Yeah.
But I guess you're short of patrician. So, not sure how that plays into calculation.
The Cursed Village buy is interesting. Not sure what Cider has planned.
I mean, one Cursed Village is not bad, and when you're with Cider, or was that Mick? No, that was Cider on 5. They're very over-terminaled at that point, so picking up a singular Lost City doesn't seem too bad.
Yeah, my guess is Cider is going to play this in a money-ish direction, and they're just kind of terminal happy early on. The Cursed Village is meant to resolve that. I think if you're trying to get anywhere close to drawing your deck here, Cursed Village is going to be an annoying card most of the time. Like, anywhere but the start of your hand, your Cursed Village is just going to be Necropolis. I think that is totally reasonable that you might just green early here.
A second one. I think
Goodbye,
second one might be fine. I don't think you want more than that. Money deck.
Yes, I think we got a divergence of strategies here. Looks like Mick is trying to build a bit more with Golem. Cider, they're in that awkward middle ground territory that you sometimes hear referred to as like the good stuff deck, where you just shove a bunch of random cards that look good in it without an overarching theme. But I would characterize it as, I think likely Cider is going to play as much more in the money-ish direction, where they're not going to be trying to like draw everything or double province. I think that they'll probably be greening about the time they hit 8.
Yeah, I think they've been. I'm not quite sure how likely they would have been to hit 6 by now, but I think that had they hit 6, they would have probably taken a gold and just been off to the races with their 2 golds and shoving money in.
Yeah, we don't need to be buying gold. You can get the gold off of your province buy.
Right. But that 1 gold early is going to get the second one out of exile. It's going to propel you there.
Mick, I think, is pretty committed to a bigger build because like Golem's a heavy upfront investment. Potion is a bad card in your deck. And you got to buy that just to buy the Golem to start doing stuff, and that obviously is not something that's going to pay off if you then immediately start greening. So
I'm excited to see what's going to go, though.
Yeah,
glad someone's playing it.
I expect Mick's game plan is get a bunch of hagglers for tons of gains, and then just shove all the advisors you can, a bunch of Golems, and miscellaneous other cards for Golem to hit into the deck, and then brute force your way through the deck. Definitely viable,
yeah.
But not sure whether it'll be fast enough or not. We'll see.
Indeed.
All right. How do we mute people in the chat? That is unacceptable sentiment.
I mean, it's definitely a feel-good board for Golem, as you said before. Like, it's got all its... I mean, save Lurker or something, or Populate. It's got every ingredient needed to make it work.
Okay, but there's
make it work as opposed to other things.
There are appropriate and inappropriate emotional responses to that situation, right? If you recognize that this is a board that Golem excels in, that could justify fine Golem, I guess. But yay Golem? That makes me question one's priorities.
Perhaps it's just a misspelling of YEA as in a positive vote.
So just like, yes, Golem. Even yes sounds very affirmative.
Well, when the, I mean, that's a pretty binary voting system that tends to use yays. So if you have to go yes golem or no golem, Johns could just be accepting that Qsenoch's deck might be better. Shanahan, of course, is also mistyped yay, although it's a bit harder to justify as a mistyping of YEA.
Verily. That is anything but a veritable statement. Next season, Johnson will be in the championship match. That would actually be really convenient because you wouldn't even need to line up external commentary.
Oh, yeah.
I got it.
I don't even think the exhibition match needs to have any cards in it or any dominion. I think you can just quote ancient sounding sentences about Golem and then everyone will be satisfied. First village here.
I'm actually, I don't know, Cider is surprising me here. He's going a bit off script. Again, I didn't think this looked like a deck that was going to try to do a whole lot. But he seems to be moving in the bigly direction.
I don't know if Curse Village is the way to do it, though.
Yeah.
Maybe if you shove enough in, it works, but I mean, I don't really see it.
You get diminishing marginal returns off those Curse Villages. I don't hate it. Again, you're already in this realm of like awkward middle ground kind of sort of stuff at the very least. So like you're at the bottom of a shuffle. Maybe the idea is just throw one more set of good cards in there and then start greening this turn. I still think that the nature of these decks induces Cider to green much sooner than Qsenoch, because like again, Qsenoch's got the deck that kind of has to do a lot, I think, to justify itself, whereas Cider's deck could happily buy provinces, gain golds off the provinces, and try to keep up a single province rate.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think that I don't think. So do I think. I think that would have been a good opportunity to just shove some golds into the deck and just go instead of taking another couple cursed villages. Because I mean, you see what happened now is it'll probably keep happening with cursed villages just being villages that hexed you.
Chat wants Emporia. Yeah, seems reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, you gain 4s off the Emporia. Makes sense. You don't want more cursed villages, maybe Haggler, but may as well take the Emporia, because I don't know how often you're stringing together 5 action cards.
There's a lot of Barons.
One's in the trash, but yeah, still.
I would think Emporium Golem here seems natural.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right.
And probably just 2 advisors off of that. Advisor does technically cost less than Golem. It
Yep.
costs potion less than Golem.
It's a convenient thing about Golem here with Haggler.
Yeah.
I wonder if
The
it would be worse here if it cost 3 potion. Probably not, but
oh oh, you're asking like would Golem be a net worse card?
yeah.
I'm gonna say no. It makes it easier to get it early, and the other stuff you would gain doesn't seem so bad. Like if you buy the Golem and gain merchants,
I guess, yeah.
that's fine. But yeah, like there's there's some upside to Golem costing forwards that you can haggle advisors off of it. You know, it seems like all the Pokemon that are named after Dominion cards are kind of terrible, right? Like they got Seal after Royal Seal. That's not a very good card. Golem, that one's absolutely awful. Are there any counterexamples to this, or is Pokemon just chosen to preemptively copy all the bad cards?
Well, in Seaside 2E, there's a Charizard. I don't know if I completely misquoted or misgamed it, but
There is a Charizard in the second edition of Seaside.
yeah, it was in the leaks.
Oh, I haven't checked the leaks, so I wouldn't know. I'll take your word for it.
That is a good Pokemon card, right? I need someone to back me up on that because I don't know. I just named the one Pokemon card I knew.
What's Squirtle? Is that Squirrel or is that Turtle? Is it somehow simultaneously playing a card as Way of the Squirrel and Way of the Turtle?
Oh, that's a pretty good minion card.
I guess you could have squirreled a card and then you could turtle it.
Like with Citadel.
Ah, you turtle a Squire.
Oh.
I'm happy at the very least that we've gotten to see these decks go in a buildier direction. More is occurring than if it was just Haggler money.
Yeah.
What turn is it? Do I think this is right? Yeah, I think I'm convinced. I think turn 11 is not that late. And decks look like they're already coming together. So I'd say it does seem like this is good enough to make money look not viable.
I don't know. I think Haggler money's still a shot against the Golem deck. Or the Cider half deck. Although I don't know.
I don't know if that half and
Maybe that
half is going to translate to the Europeans who are probably watching this hour. What do they call it? They got their own thing that's like half and half but different. Some type of cream.
not sure.
To my knowledge, half and half isn't actually a thing in the across the pond. They water down their coffee in other ways.
That's a question. If you get a game where you can play coppers as ways or treasures as ways, is that allowed in this match?
You mean like Crown?
Yeah, no, like the bug that was discovered as Arska, I'm not gonna try to pronounce because I don't know.
What's the
Like
bug?
if you play a copper with something that can play an action or a treasure, or if you play a treasure with something that can play an action or a treasure, you can play it as a way if you click the way landscape thing in the interface. Like it works with, let's
Ooh.
say, courier and specialist. Is there
And
anything else?
black market and herb gatherer.
No, because those only let you play treasures.
Oh, it has to be played either an action or a treasure. Okay, I follow. Um, what about crown? Does it need to let you play an action and a treasure at the same time?
I think it needs, yeah. I feel kind of swindled because I had a specialist way of the horse game in Analyze Mix last night.
Whole milk in Europe is creamier than the American equivalent. Well, they can't both be whole. Which one is more whole? Which one is actually just nearly whole?
It
I guess
just
that makes the
depends on your
European. This is the true whole milk.
depends on what you're contrasting with, though.
Well, I'm contrasting the entirety of the milk with just a portion of the milk.
Yes, but whole might not be contrasting with partial milk. It might be contrasting with whole as compared to a different substance that has different standards.
Not following you on that one.
Honestly, neither am I. Made more sense in my head. This board really wants Mountain Village.
Does it? Actually, yeah, it's probably net good. Upside is advisor. You know, Mountain Village advisor is a nice synergy. The downside is golem. If you play golem first and hit two Mountain Villages, it just picks up all the junk that you sifted past.
Oh, right,
Um,
right. Never mind. I take it back. Harbinger. This board wants Harbinger.
no, I mean, probably the advisor effect is bigger than the golem effect there because you're gonna have more advisors.
True, but I'm scared of it. Do you start provincing here, Mick? Take another golem.
I'm leaning towards province. That's like it's awkward because it leaves you with 3 potion left, which is just such a terrible, terrible number right now. I don't want to
And a
buy.
Haggler.
I don't want to buy any of the threes because like a merchant is going to come with a copper. Uh, it's
I think if you're provincing, you just don't play the Haggler.
uh, why wouldn't you play the haggler?
Because, oh no, it is net gain, right? You just don't buy a thing on a 3.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going with golem.
I don't mind it.
A golem merchant duchy silver. Golem. Oh, it's going big, big, big. Okay.
You don't need duchy yet, I don't think.
I think I like Cider's position. Like, obviously, points lead is not definitive in Dominion, but I don't think these decks are of terribly disparate quality. I mean, mix is going to be stronger, but not by like huge amounts, and so points lead here is not trivial.
Yeah, I think at this point Nick needs to start greening ASAP because Cider's deck is not going to get bad enough where it can hit province somewhat frequently.
Yeah, I mean, Cider's deck is good enough that it's getting close to Dublin here.
No, I thought Cider's in Japan.
Oh no, common misconception. Cider is actually in Ireland.
Uh,
Yeah, this is double here.
oh, that's true, yeah. I kind of snuck up. Yeah, so the mix really got to start greening.
Is there a pile out? That's a good question.
Yes, messenger towns.
Let's see. So messenger towns cost 16 and 4. Yeah, it looks like it. Looks like Cider sees it.
Let's see.
I was presuming that because they put 16 in play. Maybe they're
That
doing
just
that
works for good
because they want to buy
properties.
precisely double province. Although, why would you not just autoplay your treasures? Is there any reason to keep these coppers in hand? I can't think of any.
Instinctive information hiding, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, very secretive. Ah, Cider missed it.
Ah, well.
Oh,
Did still gain the town, though.
he's in a comfortably winning position, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
it was indeed. Cider had 20 money and 4 buys. If you buy 1 messenger distributing towns, that's 2 towns right there. And why can't I? Can I not right click? Oh, maybe it's just laggy. It's trying to right click messenger. It wasn't working for me. Buy messenger, distribute 2 towns, and then buy 3 more towns, and you've piled out towns for $16.
I guess it was also there on Barons.
True. I feel like it would probably, in my mind, be a lot more stylish to pile out barons than to pile out towns. That's not something you see every day. And
Yeah,
Baron is kind of in the MVP of Cider's deck.
indeed. Boost its pile out stats as a reward
Yeah.
for lining up so nicely with these
Yes.
states. I think this board would make me hate Advisor more than usual because normally you don't have to decide what there's only coppers in estates, which one to discard, but here with Baron it becomes a hard decision. It takes longer.
Mick, I would think you just double here and hope for a dud from Cider. It seems like your most likely chance to win is Cider just having a
Yeah.
complete flop of a hand, and then you double plus Dutchy or something next turn.
Yep. What are you haggling for? Golds, barons, not baron. Maybe you can get 1 baron, maybe. Messengers. You don't want to leave anything below 4. Maybe leave hagglers, but nothing else. You take the gold.
A baron and a bunch of merchants, maybe?
Merchants don't do anything. You don't have a silver.
They're just targets for Golan to hit, so I'm less likely to whiff.
I don't know if you don't. I don't know if you want them to hit merchants because then you skip less of your coppers.
But the flip side of that is my advisors would also be more likely to hit merchants, which is good.
It's true. I like taking 1 silver. You're gonna need to get lucky anyways to win.
Yeah, I think so this was what I said, but with a silver, which I think seems totally reasonable.
Yes. You don't take the final merchant.
That silver is like a platinum if you manage to get all your merchants in play.
Yeah.
Or more than that. He's already got 2 merchants. That's like a 7'em.
It's like a bank. But when you have a lot of treasures.
Well, he actually does happen to have 6 treasures in play right now, so I guess that bank would theoretically be 7.
Indeed. For pilot here, you need 12. Just keeping in the back of my mind.
Yeah, this looks like enough for Cider. Not for certain, but province should be enough to at least put it out of reach for Mick next turn. Which means Cider would need like a bad dud here, I think, because Mick needs to win over 2 turns. Which, yeah, this hand from Cider is a little iffy. Mick still got a shot, I think.
Yep. Cider's got Dutchy here, so. But Mick, well, this looks like a dud for Mick, actually. Depending on Patrician Merchant draw, but it's not looking good.
Interesting choice of Patrician before Merchant. Probably makes sense, actually, given his deck.
Yeah, you don't want the 5 on top.
It's very counterintuitive. So in general, let's say you have a generic cantrip and a Patrician. I would say something like 8 or 9 times out of 10, the default play order is going to be to play the Patrician after the generic cantrip. Because presumably in most decks, your $5 plus cards are the ones you really want to find. And like, let's say it's, I don't know, a laboratory that you need to keep your turn going. Your deck's full of labs. Well, Merchant followed by Patrician will draw you a lab if the lab is anywhere in the top 3 cards. Whereas Patrician followed by Merchant will only draw you a lab if the lab is in the top 2 cards. You are equally likely to draw 3 cards, but the scenario in which you draw 3 cards is the one in which you found the lab anyway and were less likely to dud. And so in terms of maximizing chance of avoiding duds, generally that Patrician is later. Now here, that logic, I think, basically inverts. Because if you look at all the cards in Mixed deck that cost 5 or more, like Provinces and Hagglers, none of those are draw cards. They're actually stop cards. And so if you think about those two scenarios, like the one where, say, replace Lab with Haggler, where Haggler is 2 from the top instead of 3 from the top, well, if you're trying to minimize a dud, what you really want to do is draw through that Haggler and draw on to hopefully find your Golem or your Advisor or whatever. So you play Patrician first and then Merchant, because if that Haggler was second, well, now you've got a chance of finding a good card 3 from the top and playing one. Whereas if Haggler was third, even if you draw with Patrician, you're likely dudding anyway.
Well said. It is double Dutchy. It's not terrible. After this, Mick needs 27.
So Mick is behind by 16 points.
That's going to be 13.
13 now. There's 21 points left in the Province and Duchy piles. Yeah, I think Mick looks well in this, given this dud from Cider.
I mean, Cider can lower towns to 1 or merchants to 1 here. Like, really put the pressure on Mick to finish and pile next turn. Is that worth doing, or do you just take your estate?
It's unclear to me. So like, I definitely see the logic of lowering piles to give you more opportunities to end the game, because now you can end the game on 6 and 2 buys instead of 8 and 1 buy. That being said, lowering estates itself also is contributing towards a pile out threat while scoring you points. Maybe next turn you find a Baron and 4 money, and you play the Baron, gain an estate, buy 2 estates, something like that.
If you do lower estates, or if you do just lower estates, do you messenger for them, or do you just buy the estate?
Are we assuming you have... Oh, in this term we have 4 money?
Yes.
That's a good question. I'm gonna say... Well, let's think about it. So he's up by precisely 13 points. If you messenger for estates, then Mick could tie with Province Duchy double estate. So maybe that 1 point could matter, but then that also means you could dud if you have a weekend. Not, I think I want to say Messenger Estates. It's one less point for you relative to your opponent, but it also sets the bar for not dudding much lower.
Yeah, this turns out probably won't matter here. Cider's looking to have a good turn. But
Well, let's see. Can Mick win this turn? He needs 15 points. Province Triple Duchy. It's going to cost 23.
Or barons.
I
Gaining estates as well.
I don't think... you'd have to gain 3 estates for it to matter, right? 2 estates won't make a difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe there's a scenario where you gain all 3 of the estates, but I think you're more likely to play the Baron for money.
I think the best shot you get is Messenger. Oh, nice. Mick saw the trick. Didn't work, though.
So, yeah, trying to minimize duds there. Mick already had some good cards in his discard. Patrician Advisor, so playing that Messenger early shuffles the good cards back into your deck, so you're more likely to find them.
Yeah, it doesn't do much when it's 2 cards out of 37, unfortunately. But still a good try.
Yeah, this turn was still somewhat far from 23.
Just a bit.
The silver gain is awkward. I don't think you really want the silver in your deck that much. I expect it was mostly motivated not by silver being desirable so much as everything else being even worse. Don't necessarily want to lower the merchant pile. And then Camel Train is bad.
I think town's better given that the merchant pile is already lowered in town.
Yeah, I could see taking town. The game has gone to Cider. Alright, so do or die for Mick. If Cider wins one more game, they have won the whole match because of the advantage they had coming in. Okay, this looks like it would be a very different kingdom if it had a village. Oh, it does have a village. Bandit Camp. I overlooked that.
Yeah.
That's a village. Okay, well, it is a very different kingdom then. Okay, so we got village in the form of bandit camp. Livery as only draw is kind of awkward because livery is not so great at getting itself started, but it can be really strong once you get there. You also have some stuff that presses you in the direction of building less big. Butcher and market squares can gain and mill provinces pretty fast. There's tomb points, which favors building a bit, I would think.
Honestly, as long as I see the final turn mint here, I'm happy.
Yeah, you can play your treasures and then mint in the last turn for a bunch of tomb points. I was thinking, what if there's a deck that just repetitively buys and mints a lot of coppers as its method of scoring? You play one market squares, then you buy like 6 coppers, and you buy a mint. And that's a province worth of points.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah. Now would be an appropriate time to rejoice at the lack of Golem.
Golem be bad here?
Yes.
How bad?
Bad as Golem usually is. Like, you
I don't know.
Kind of ignore it.
Maybe it's just after seeing Golem kind of work last turn or last game, but I'm kind of, I don't know, could help get livery started. Probably not worth it though.
You've been listening to John the Deceiver.
I don't know.
So how'd they open?
I like making cards work.
Mick opened Market Square Chapel. Cider opened Mint Chapel. Oh, that is... What? Mint?
I mean, it's working out.
Mint
Super thin
Chapel.
on turn 4.
Fascinating. Yeah, this is like a perfect turn 2 draw for Cider. I guess not super unlikely, but finding the chapel in all three estates. I'd say that
Yeah.
is working quite well. Um, yeah, I think I would have much more likely opened with Bandit Camp or Butcher. Bandit Camp just being kind of a nothing buy in the short term, but just something that's not going to inhibit Chapel, and Butcher having a pretty good upside if it doesn't collide. I'd probably go with Butcher.
Yeah, Cider did get the high roll, but I don't think it's necessarily worth the potential low roll of bottom decking a chapel or bottom decking 2 estates and just not being in good shape on turn 4 and so on. I don't know. Actually, just hit me why Golem might be good here. Is butchering into 4 costs for livery horses.
Did it hit you on the head?
Sorry?
I was expressing a skepticism the golem being a good claim.
No, because you get a 4 cost potion. So otherwise you have to go straight from 3 to 5 with butcher. And if you only have like a 2 cost, you want butcher and you want horses, then you have to not take them.
Oh, you're saying Golem's existence in the kingdom is good simply because you can gain potions, not because Golem is good.
If already, yeah. I mean, and once you have a
Yes,
potion, maybe you draw it and get 4 in a potion, you buy golem.
I agree. I if Golem were in this kingdom, I could see potion getting gained, just to gain horses.
You know, with cards like golem, you have to grasp at straws for reasons to hope for their existence or hope for their showing up in the kingdom. I think that might have been one of the instances.
Uh, that you buy a copper here, right?
Do you need it?
Sure.
What's the difference between? I guess you do to get more trashing in.
So firstly, how many stop cards do you have? You got a chapel and 2 golds. The end. And no reason to ever have fewer than 4 stop cards. You,
Well, yeah, because market squares.
even
There's
if you,
stop cards if you trash.
even if you didn't want to activate market squares, you could just buy a copper and trash it for the victory points. But
That's true.
probably the main reason is you gain on some extra golds here if you want. Um, so where do we go from
But at that point,
here?
don't you want to buy cards for style points?
Yeah. I could be easily persuaded that curse is better than copper here when you consider that it's cooler. I think Butcher is next on the agenda for Mick. Probably for Cider as well. Well, Cider can't
Yeah.
buy Butcher now, I guess. That's a little awkward. So, I mean, good, I guess. He could easily not play this chapel. So Butcher and no chapel. I think maybe for Cider. I'm not sure. I understand what he's thinking here. I see a lot of options. You could trash a copper, gain a gold, buy a market square. You could trash 2 coppers, actually, and do that. Um, I don't think I'd actually trash both coppers. If you trash both coppers, then what are you doing next turn? Um, you won't have anything to trash with your chapel. So you probably want to only trash one copper now to reserve the ability to trash something else next turn. You could also just buy Butcher here directly. And then next turn you're butchering chapel on the market square, gaining a gold maybe, and buying, I don't know, bandit camp. That's a little bit ambitious because I think that's one card more than you have draw for in your hand. So maybe you don't get to gain a gold that turn. Cider goes with livery.
Yeah, I don't like it. You want to be using your terminal space for other stuff now.
I felt like Butcher came before livery here, but we'll see.
There, I want to play the market square. Or actually, no, because you're going to butcher stuff, so you don't need to buy the copper. Yes, but Mick needs to win 4.5 out of 5.
Is the champion match undecided if Mick wins? I would say no, because that sounds like a double negative to me. If you undecider it, that implies that Cider had been removed from the championship and is being reinstated. So like, if Mick wins and then Cider wins next season, you've undecided it because Mick had decided it and then Cider undecided it.
But between games, Cider's not in a championship game, so it is kind of decidered. But it's also demicked.
Oh, you mean like by virtue of ending the game? Well, the match, I would say, is still ongoing in that interim period between games.
I guess.
If Mick wins, the championship will be undercidered. That's a plausible take.
Has the championship ever been won by the second player? The championship match ever been won by the second player in standings previously?
I statistically would have to guess yes, but my memory does not go back very far.
I feel like I remember it being discussed and the answer being no, but probably, I mean, it must have happened at this point.
I'm sure someone will inform us at some point about the truth of the matter. Bottom decking bandit camp's a little bit sad there. Don't get to butcher this chapel yet. Still no butcher yet for Cider. It's working out okay though. Ah, yes, season 27.
In a while.
Yeah, season 27. Second seeded Qsenoch upset first seeded. I don't know who'll be around in season 27. Upset Steph.
Steph was only around until 17, I thought.
Common misconception. He made a secret appearance in season 27 under an alternative account name.
Let's see what Donba has to say. It was Marcus in first, although it was only a half a game differential.
Wait, I'm questioning the reliability of your testimony. I do believe you said you'd heard that at some point it had never been won by a second player. Are you suggesting that you heard this prior to season 13?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess my sources might have been wrong, but now I've changed to my new source, Dombot, which
Sorry, I've been
I guess
watching
Dombot could be wrong.
too much coverage of the Depp Heard trial, and this is making me appreciate why they object to hearsay all the time.
All right, yeah, in season 36, as Shanahan said.
Yeah, he upsets a lot of people.
It hasn't even been that long, actually. Oh, never mind.
All right,
I feel like
Ciders has
it
got
should be a
Butcher now.
Hall of Fame category. Most championships won is the second best, or as the second best general standings play.
Most championships won as second seeded player. How many people are even on that list, let alone have a number greater than one?
At least two.
Mick and RTT.
Yes. Probably Steph as well. Although, who knows?
I was actually really close to doing it in which season, whichever season I was in the championship. I was second seed, and I had a forced win in the last game, and well, we won't talk about what happened after that. Yeah, that was the duplicate game. Such lovely cards, I really enjoy Herald and Jester and Duplicate.
Has Steph ever done it?
Well, that would require Steph to not be first seed, which doesn't seem in his nature.
Season 3.
Is that an answer to the question just asked, or is that further details about Dr. Steelhammer doing it?
I thought like all of the first 17 championships were split between Steph and Mick.
Yeah.
Or something crazy like that.
Who is Yed? I never heard of that person.
Let's see what their league charts like.
The olden days.
Yed has not played since season 12.
This was back in the days when Dominion wasn't a card game yet. It was just real life, and you were going to the village to meet the smithy. So what do you buy here is cider. Only 4 buys. I don't know. Last Bandit Camp feels like a good idea. And then you got a bunch of terminal space.
How did 27 coins happen like that? That was quick. It felt quick.
Double plus Bandit Camp plus Butcher sounds reasonable to me.
You take 3 provinces here, which puts Mick in a pretty bad situation, I feel like. Or maybe at least 2. Because with 2 you can threaten 4 next turn.
More than that.
And then this is maybe a butcher.
Yeah, I still like
Yeah,
double
I remember this
Bandcamp
being.
Butcher.
Yeah, it looks good. Wine
Wine
merchant.
Merchant. That's a card.
um, no, I'd much rather have the butcher than wine merchants. If you're looking for a terminal, and if you're not looking for a terminal, it's Bandicamp.
Yeah, Butcher just seems extremely better than Wine Merchant. Like butchering gold in the province, province in the province is like much higher value than 4 money in a buy. Butcher can also gain and play things. If you overdraw your deck, you can butcher stuff into butchers and then regain it. Uh, Not to mention, there's just like a thematic disaffinity here. Wine is a competing alcoholic beverage to which cider should be opposed.
Maybe Cider's just looking to diversify what he's selling, or what they're selling, rather.
Expanded into new markets. Those both Dominion cards. DZ, you're missing nothing. Cider is disgusting. It is apple juice, except that it's bad. Just drink not spoiled apple juice. Cider is an abomination of drink. Yeah, I agree, Lucas. It is hard to disagree on the cider take because it has an indisputable truth to it.
JNails' take on Cider, or Cider's taking wine merchants?
Oh well, it's easy to disagree with cider's take on wine merchants or cider taking wine merchants. There's no such thing as a correct cider. The correct cider is just apple juice. Go get yourself a bottle of juicy juice, 100% apple juice. That is the ideal cider.
Make doesn't have enough buys.
I'm sorry, apple juice isn't sophisticated enough for your palate, Johns.
Oh.
Apple juice is fine as it is. You don't need to add random crap to change the flavor. I want you to just like pour ketchup in your apple juice while you're at it. That don't make any sense. The flavor is not a good flavor is the problem. It is a bad flavor. This applies both to alcoholic and non-alcoholic cider.
The apple juice is too sweet. Orange juice is much better. Is a much better juice. It's not good in all situations, but I mean, when you want some, like, you're much more likely to want orange juice more than water than you are apple juice more than water. Water's not too boring. Water's great.
I think water is fine.
It's like you don't need your drinks to be exciting. That's where the food comes in.
I'm say I have water right here, but I've actually gone through the whole cup. Ciders can be more dry. See, to my mind, that is not a virtue in a liquid. I prefer my beverages to be of the wet variety.
I mean, are you talking about cards, or are you talking about beverages? Wondering Winter.
He's saying he has a very wet sense of humor.
I don't think he. Cider only has one butcher, so
How'd that
If Cider
happen?
gets 5
Where
provinces,
does other butchers go? Because I recall thinking he was imminently going to buy some in the previous turn.
I think you take 1 province. Maybe you take 2. I don't think you need to play for the full dud because there's a universe in which Cider buys 2 provinces and mills 1, where Mick gets a lot of value out of the extra turn. I definitely think you want 1 province because if Cider is able to take 5 provinces or even take 4 and mill 1, then you're done anyways.
Are you?
I think so.
How many golds does Mick have?
Cider gets up to 51 points.
Mick don't have so many golds, I guess. I was thinking the mint might be more than it was.
This is good news for the spectators in that we get more games of meaningful Dominion. This going all the way to Game 6 would be very exciting.
Well, I have good news. I do believe the match is going all the way to Game 6.
What do you do here, Cider? You double Dutchy? You butcher? I think maybe double butcher.
Well, I'm sure not playing the wine merchant. That would just be shameful. I want to keep that concealed to minimize the humiliation.
Yeah. I don't know if double Dutchy is as good as double butcher here because I guess you have wine merchants clogging up your terminal space, but the butcher's going to get you more value, assuming you get another turn.
Alrighty. Well, Mick draw looks like it. I'm looking dicey for a hot second there.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to come through. Yeah, Mick must be able to take 6 provinces here.
I don't know if that was an intentional pun from Wandering Winter, but I want to believe it was.
Yeah, because you don't need to actually take more than 1. Or you don't even take any. You just need to mill 6, which is not going to happen, but let's see. Butcher Duchy to province, butcher Duchy to province, butcher Duchy to... I don't know. You don't even need to do the duchies. Playing 2 liveries now. Are you butchering duchies to provinces here?
My presumption... I guess first you want to make sure that you can do 6, but it seems like we agree that he can. I would think livery, butcher duchy into province, and then trigger the shuffle, so that you're putting horses in that shuffle.
Yeah.
And then the idea is going to be to draw back to that butcher, or draw back to the province, and then butcher province and a province a few times.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And,
Or do another duchy. I don't know how I feel about that.
That seems wrong to me. I'm not sure about... Maybe he's already counted this. Do you take golds here as Mick?
No, I think you just want to maximize your chance of drawing back around.
Do the golds even hurt your chance of drawing back around?
Yes, because you have less market squares and you also have more golds.
But you also have more horses.
Deck. That's true. Either way, seems to have worked out. Unfortunate dud from Cider at the end.
I disagree. That looked like righteous justice for that wine merchant play.
Fair enough. Had that been a bandit camp, you have no idea what that next card would have been, I guess.
What have we here? All right, we got a Transmute Kingdom.
Ooh.
But like actually.
Actually, you say.
Actually.
Are you getting it for Alchemist and then keeping it for Transmute?
Hey, that's an interesting order of priorities. I feel like you're disrespecting Mr. Transmute here.
I don't know if you need. What's the Transmute doing for you?
It is trashing a card from my hand, and if it's an action, gaining a duchy. If it's a treasure, gaining a transmute. And if it's a victory card, gaining a gold.
Interesting. And which of those things do you plan to do with the Transmute?
To be determined. The important thing is that you have the transmute.
I see. Oh, is it because of sewers? I guess then maybe.
In the history of Dominion, has anyone ever mastermounded a transmute? I'm going to guess yes. Anyways, the Kingdom Alchemist seems good. I mean, you're going to want to post it anyway. And Mastermind plus Alchemist is a nifty little combo. You always have a top deck lab or Mastermind to hit. Thinning here is only Transmute. And now, Transmute is normally not true thinning because everything it can gain you is a stop card. Even if you trash a stop card, you're not actually thinning your deck. But here, Transmute plus Sewers actually is thinning because the card that Sewers trashes is truly reducing the number of stop cards in your deck.
Unless, of course, you gain Catacombs. Or you trash Catacombs, in which case you're trashing 2, gaining 2.
But you could gain a non-stop card of Catacombs.
I guess. But in some cases, Gold's a non-stop card, and in some cases, Transmute's a non-stop card. Which I guess are more of those edge cases that you mentioned.
In this kingdom, you're going to have to explain to me how either of those could be the case.
Oh, not in this kingdom, but in like storyteller kingdoms are certain ways.
Yeah, I could tell a story about hypothetical kingdom of Dominion, in which that made sense. They're playing this one fast. What's going on here? Let's take a look. So they both open Silver Potion. Seems reasonable to me. I think Squire Potion could also be fine if you were interested in taking an early Transmute. Seems like they're gunning for the Alchemist. Silver makes you more likely to hit 3 Potion. Squire would have the advantage of coming with plus buy, which is good if you collide it with Potion and plan to buy Transmute plus something.
I could get behind Squire Potion.
Yeah, you're going to want a silver anyway for Merchant, but you could always gain that off of Squire on some turn.
Yep. If you don't collide with the potion on that first shuffle, you can just gain it then. We've still not seen a Transmute bot. I guess Mick does it here.
It's like when people talk about the greatest video game of all time as though they've been around more than like 50 years. I feel like 50 years that's a lot of time.
Yeah, but not on the scale of all time.
But it's all of 50 years.
Yes, but if you talk about the greatest video game of the last 50 years, that's more accurate.
They're equivalently accurate.
Well, I guess, but it's more precise. Accurate wasn't the right term, or right term.
I mean, they have equivalent answers, but different meanings, right? Like the greatest video game of the last 50 years will necessarily be the greatest video game of all time, by virtue of there not having been video games prior to that. Maybe I'm trying to make a statement about all of history. You know, if we discovered that the cavemen had developed video games, that could hypothetically disprove one of those and not the other.
Yeah. I mean, it depends if you'd find a video game as well. Because with some pretty wild definitions, you could get video games from way before 50 years ago.
I
Actually, even 50, I guess maybe not 50 years ago, but I mean, in a couple of years, that statement's going to be less accurate because you're going to have.
Yeah, the original video game was Plato's Cave.
When do we hit 50 years of video games existing?
uh, 50 years after the Republic got published or something. I don't know.
That's a milestone that I think is coming up.
Plato's Cave was Twitch. I don't want to contemplate how accurate that analogy is.
I mean, it doesn't matter if Plato's Cave was Twitch because as long as there wasn't actually video games being streamed there, it shouldn't make a difference.
Alright, one of these players has failed to acquire a transmute. On whom must I cast judgment?
Well, maybe it's here.
Cider! Cider, what are you doing? Transmute. Now's your chance. Catacombs Port Transmute. I don't think they quite have the draw yet to throw in the Mastermind. Well, maybe they have the Villages to throw in. Maybe you do Catacombs Mastermind Transmute. That's a lot of terminals, though. I feel like Catacombs Port Transmute is the safest play here. And then you can add the Mastermind next turn.
Mastermind Port Transmute? Just get the Masterminds up and running?
Do what now?
The big Mastermind Port Transmute to get the Masterminds up and running.
Well, Mastermind has the drawback of not costing Potion, and so I don't view those two as being in direct competition with each other.
No, Mastermind is opposed to Catacombs.
Yeah, I think you maybe you could consider Mastermind Port Transmute. Maybe if I knew a little bit more exactly the contents of Cider's deck, I could give a more precise answer. But that seems a little bit risky in terms of can you draw all that? Whereas Catacombs Port Transmute, you're probably more comfortable at drawing and not dudding like this. And
yeah, that's bad because you're now leaving the top deck in the Alchemists for a while.
And you can potentially gain and play something. Right, like gain a gold off a transmute and draw it and play it or something. Or a second transmute. Not that it seems like this Mastermind buy was at fault, because they didn't draw it either way, but... Cider, transmute. Chop chop.
And Cider doesn't have sewers, so that makes transmute less enticing for the moment.
The first video game is Table Tennis on the Magnavox Odyssey. I'd never even heard of that platform.
When was it? I feel like I must know now.
Transmute. Transmute worth 8. Now, realistically, Mastermind is probably the best buy there because you just put your Masterminds in play and you want to get one down for the following turn. Maybe, going back counterfactually, something I overlooked, but I'm thinking about now. Maybe there was a good case for the Catacombs Mastermind Transmute set of buys. Because I initially ruled that out as being over terminal, but I'm now thinking about delay. Maybe you play Squire for +2 buy, and then you delay some of the stuff that you didn't get to play.
Alright, that's not a bad idea.
Could have been an option. Oh, look at this gorgeous Ganon play we could be doing if we had a transmute in our hand. Yeah, I think Sewer's
This,
transmute sounds pretty good.
yeah, this board has really been one for the weak cards shining. Or not this board, but this match. First Golem. I mean, it didn't really shine, but compared to its normal, it did. And then Transmute here.
So we got 11 money. Could be 12 or even 13 if you wanted it to be. 13 sounds pretty good to me. Gain the silver, draw it with port. You can still delay the catacombs, and you buy transmute merchant double fives.
That's 14, so you could even do port instead of merchants. Although you don't really need the action at this point.
Was it 14? Did I just forget to account for money somewhere? I thought I was. I thought he had 10 plus a squire left plus a silver to gain. And that at 13. I must be missing something. Like, addition is not my strong suit.
Well, it would have been 14 had they taken the silver off the final squire instead of buys.
Okay, got the requisite transmute.
Right?
I'm gonna say yes to sewers. So on the one hand, yeah, you're drawn. You don't need sewers because like you're gonna draw through your deck even if it's not thinned. But there's also pretty easy ways to stuff your deck full of stuff here between transmute and squire gaining silvers. And so if you thin a bunch, you can quickly unthin yourself pretty fast, productively. Or we could just buy merchant ship because why not?
Merchant ship.
That's a card.
I don't like it.
I don't understand.
You can just get your payload better this board. Like, draw is not going to be an issue for you here. So just a silver is almost as good as merchant ship, and you can gain it off squires if you want.
Yeah, I agree. Like a squire honestly seems like a better payload card than merchant ship because it gains you a bunch of gold, not gold, silvers, and then you spend your actual buys adding draw to your deck with catacombs and masterminds and such.
Oh yeah. Not taking the free transmute there from me. You guys already have two.
Don't have sewers yet, but a little disappointing. Also, don't have overdraw because we bought a merchant ship instead of buying a draw card. Get to transmute a thing.
It's probably state into gold, right?
Yeah, a state into gold seems natural. And then, how much money you got? Alright, I'm going to do it proper this time. We got 9, 11, 15, right? 15 money?
Yes, well, 15 in a
Okay,
potion,
15.
but yeah.
I can add sometimes. Yeah. I want sewers still. I think I'd like to thin quickly. What are
Yeah, I
piles
mean, getting
looking like? Transmute can auto pile. Alchemist, there's no imminent pile threat. And there's soon to be a pile threat, but not like worry about it this turn yet.
transmute, you can do alchemist and you can do squire, yeah. It's not too far off. Wonder if Nick can do it.
I don't think Cider is going to buy sewers here. I don't think he wants to thin fast.
Cider seems to think it's enough of a threat that you should take a province.
John, is that the game that ended in a tie?
Does what tie?
We played a league game in which Transmute piled. I believe it resulted in a tie.
I see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure John's caused the tie by emptying Transmutes. I think there was a win. There's some winning line. That was the same match where we had the pirate ship game. Good match.
Can Mick win? What's down there for Mick? It's transmute and something.
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, honestly, it's probably not there this turn.
Okay, so my first intuition is just to play the transmute and gain a transmute and then draw it. Then probably turn a state into gold and draw that. And then think from there, something along those lines.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad.
Well, while we're in the mindset of buying terrible cards, you know what you could get here? You could get a venture, which will let you gain and play the golds. You play your transmute at the end of your turn, gain a gold, and you play the venture and draw that gold.
I guess. You know what else gets you a coin and lets you gain player golds? Is merchant. For 3 coins instead of 5.
Ah, but that requires one more village because you have to be able to play the merchant after having played the transmute. I guess that's probably relevant since you're playing a master plan every turn anyway. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Merchant versus venture. Consider that venture is cooler.
Fair enough. Yeah. You've sold me on venture if I have the 2 spare coins.
Feels like we're not gaining as much as we can. Okay, this is like, never mind. I was gonna comment on Mick's underplaying of this turn, and I decided against it because I realized, well, even if he doesn't gain a transmute there, he could be intending to play this one. But then he didn't do either of those things. He's just leaving the transmute in his hand. Mick, why are you even getting the transmute if you're not gonna play the transmute? Nicholas?
Province Port Catacombs. Yeah, looks good.
This last alchemist is really unwanted. Alchemist at 1 is kind of weird. I feel like if you're in a 3-pile threat sort of situation, often the potion cards might end up at 2 because leaving potion cards at 2 is really safe. If your opponent only has 1 potion, it's really hard to get a second potion card a lot of the times because they have to gain and play a potion and buy 2. Alchemist at 1, not protecting you all too much from pile out because you got a potion that's going to waste anyway, so that Alchemist is just effectively 3 money.
Hey, guess it. We just really haven't seen much or many instances of 3 money that you have left at the end of a turn.
Well, we've seen instances where they have a whole lot of control over that. For example, Squire has his hand, not Squire, Cider has his hand where they've got an arbitrary number of squires they can play and are choosing to delay some. And so you could fiddle around with the exact numbers by playing more or fewer squires and delaying the rest.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not like that last Alchemist is a super important card. Like you don't need to win the Alchemist split here to win. There's other draw and actions and stuff. Mick is behind on Masterminds, which could definitely be a concern. Mastermind has the potential to be pretty explosive in the end game. On your penultimate turn, you can mastermind some masterminds, and you have a big turn and lots of buys and gains.
Yeah, I think on the whatever we call the turn before penultimate, if Mick is planning that far ahead, maybe Mick buys this extra mastermind or anti penultimate. Sure.
It is indeed the anti-penultimate turn. My
This is
suspicion
7 or it's
is
10
that
short of a win.
they are a little over delaying things. Like this is not a kingdom where you really need that added reliability of having a draw or action card delayed. You've got a bunch of Alks top decked and a mastermind coming in. You're not gonna dud because you had a bad starting shuffle that a delayed catacombs is gonna fix. If you're worried about drawing the following turn, well, that's just you to buy more draw cards in the buy phase. But the downside, of course, of delaying extra stuff is they're not doing as much gain in play as they could, gaining silvers or transmutes and such things.
Yeah. Can Mick do more than double?
I do not know. I'm guessing no.
If Mick can triple, Mick probably still doesn't. Ooh, transmute into duchies, that's right. That's an option.
All right, so I don't. As Mick, I'd be kind of wishing I took some more transmutes right about now. I'm behind on provinces and need to catch up on duchies. You got an excellent duchy gainer that you've been systematically disrespecting.
Is Mick? I mean, Mick has 2 of them, right?
And he didn't
It's
even
probably
play
still not
one.
enough.
He didn't even delay the one that he didn't play.
You don't need the you don't need the draw or the terminal space to have to delay it, I don't think. You can transmute to catacombs here, maybe.
Does he? Does he have the win? It seems unlikely that he would have.
Does Mick have the win? I have to believe no.
I probably would not kill the catacombs as of yet.
Maybe save it for a later turn, but Nick tops out here at how much money? You have
21? Oh, well, actually, you get 24 if you transmuted the province.
That's true. Not quite sure the desirability of that line, but it's an option if nothing else.
I'm pretty sure of how desirable the line is.
I mean, if you're anyways losing, it's the stylish way to go out. I don't like the transmute transmuting to duchy without gaining another transmute. You could rebuy it, but I'd like to have more for next turn. I'd rather have 3 than 2 next turn. Especially considering you have the draw to do. Actually, you don't know the actions to do it, so never mind. But you do rebuy it here.
Yeah.
I feel like you must. Actually, yeah. You have 1 transmute, so you have the capability to double province, that is. In the estate over the transmute. If you have the ability to double province, that gets you 12 point. Or you have province, duchy, estate because you have to weigh the contingency of cider tripling. If you have province, duchy, estate, you're then behind by 3 duchies. So you'd really rather have more transmutes next turn. It's very back of the napkin math there, but I don't know if one's going to cut it if cider triples.
Why is the math specifically done on the back of the napkin?
Plus duchy state. Well, yeah, at that point it's probably out of reach regardless.
Let's see, is this a masterminded mastermind or 2 mastermind? If you're just asking about the ones that are in play, my immediate presumption would just be to go find the part in the log where they were played. And it was in fact not a masterminded mastermind. It was just played normally. If this meant this mastermind is playing this mastermind, I mean, first that wouldn't work because they're both duration cards. Mastermind is not going to play it until the following turn. And secondly, it would be indented like so.
It appears based on the fact, or based on the amount of actions left, that this was 3 mastermind plays rather than 2.
Wait,
I
what?
think? No, delay. Delay throws a wrench into that. 1 second, my computer is about to die.
Oh, right. So, what we're doing here as cider. Wish I knew more exactly what mixed deck can do. My first gut instinct, and this is going to come as a shock to everyone, but it's to gain more transmutes, which then puts pressure indirectly on that duchy pile. I guess next instinct is to check for pile outs. Which I suspect don't exist because probably chat pointed one out already. Let's see, you got 6, 8, 14 money, plus merchantship 16, 18. What would you do? Triple plus duchy plus estate is half points, right? Probably.
But you can triple without transmuting the estate. I don't think you need to trim. You can just gain 3 silvers and take buys.
Let's see. So you're using 3 of the squires for silvers? You got.
I think you can use 3 of the squires for silvers, 1 for buys. That's 10 coins.
Are you not playing the
You have
mass?
14 treasures.
One.
You have 14 treasures.
So you play your squire. You can play a total of 6 actions, 4 of which are squires. I think you'd be a little bit action limited at that point, right?
You have the port.
It brings you to 6, but your plan involves playing like 4 of those on ports, I believe, on their own, and then you got.
I guess maybe it doesn't work as well. This doesn't double. Or, no, this does triple. It does triple. I don't know, I said double. This seems well out of reach, honestly.
I concur. Mick concurs as well. Alright. Cider is our league champion. Congratulations. Again, we got a few games left because they're going to play out the full 6 games, but with that, Cider has clinched victory. They only needed 2 wins to make their total lead versus Mick insurmountable.
Yeah, these games probably are going to go somewhat quicker.
Alright, so this kingdom, what do we got? No trashing is what jumps out to me. At least no copper estate trashing. One could grave rob any action card. One could trash their mountain village. So you'll need draw. And draw is actually going to be awkward for a while because you got Royal Blacksmith for draw, which is a lot of draw, but it's also bad when you got coppers, and you got coppers. So that's a conundrum. Eventually you can get Teacher and put your plus card token on something, then that would be draw. But that's not happening quickly. I don't think there's any possibility of playing money just because Tower is way too many points for the engine.
Grave Robber Fortress is going to play. It's going to help the engine a lot as well, I feel like.
Yeah, I think Grave Robber looks good enough here with Fortress around.
Not till later, though. At this point, I think you're just trying to advance the travelers and get some good cards around them. Also, Grave Robber Mining Village plays a role. If you Pathfind Mining Village, it's 2 cards, 2 actions, 2 coins. And then you can Grave Rob it.
So, they both have the Mill Peasant. One of them had 5-2 and got to Seawave Mill, which is... Actually, is that even good?
I mean, it's not bad. You're hitting... You can get a 2 cost and a 3 cost instead of being stuck to a 5 cost if you are on your mill turn, if you don't see Peasant.
Well, so the downside is, what if you want to put a token on mill later?
That's true.
Because...
I think it just costs you 1 to move Seaway to Fortress for a second or Mining Village.
Yeah. The way Teacher works is there has to not be a token on it yet. And it's not specifically a Teacher token. Seaside is putting the same plus buy token on there, and so it would actually negate you from putting any Teacher tokens on mill, which could be an inconvenience. Why am I not surprised that Wandering Winder would play Money in this Kingdom? I don't think Money has a prayer. You remove Tower, and I think you could seriously think about like Treasure Trove Money, but Tower will be a lot of points for the engine.
I know there's no chance of it happening, but I think it would be really funny for for Treasure Trove Mining to somehow empty golds here. The game ends way, way before it happens, though.
You just get empty coppers too, and then Treasure Troves for the 3 pile.
That's true. 10 troves, 30 golds, and 46 coppers. Classic scoring strategy. Wait, no, because they can't trash 6.
So I was thinking about saying that, but I gave you the benefit of the doubt. I was saying, well, maybe you're counting the number of points you would score, net your opponent off of emptying coppers, which would be 46.
Yeah, you do get 53, but you give up 7. If there was a way of trashing, it would be 53. Or a way of trashing the coppers, anyhow.
Grave Robber.
It's turn 10. How do we...
I was in the process of checking whether anything was in the trash already, and then I realized that was a silly thing to check in this kingdom. Mining Village Grave Robber actually turns Grave Robber successfully into a terminal silver.
It's non-terminal, right? Yeah, because it's net action neutral, so it's just a silver.
I was considering the Grave Robber in isolation as a terminal silver.
Oh, yes.
Which, yes, plus a village is in the whole bundle is, say, non-terminal silver.
I guess. If you pathfind either, then it's a combined conspirator. Did Nick take a blacksmith? Whoa.
would seem as such, as he has debt, and I only spy one debt card.
Why? I don't think your copper concentration ever gets low enough for it to be worth it.
I guess it's cycling. He wants his main payload to be grave robbers or something, not treasures, and so he's fine if the coppers get discarded.
I guess. Maybe Cider concurs as well. You know, Soldier with attack cards always proves explosive, or Soldier with other attack cards that you can spam.
Yeah, Soldier with spammable attacks like Urchin or Scrying Pool is an excellent money source.
Now, we don't have spammable attacks here, but we do have Raider. And given that this game is meaningless, or mostly meaningless in league standings, or in terms of who's going to win the championship anyhow, Raider does get you soldier points, or soldier coins. And if you're not playing coppers anyways, maybe the attack's actually somewhat useful. So anyways, I know it's terrible, but I'm tempted.
Alright, will Cider finally be forced to put down a decent token? We'll find out.
How did Mick not get teacher down by now? It's just been unlucky.
Let's take a look. Looks like his peasant bottom decked. So that sure don't help.
Oh yeah. I guess there's that small consolation that the match doesn't matter, because if it did, this game would have been so much more frustrating for Mick.
Yeah, probably. Well, that is an uninspiring choice of disciple targets that you got in your hand. You don't really want a disciple mill because it's out. You don't want a disciple lighthouse because it's not because it's the same thing. But you don't want a disciple lighthouse because it's a duration, which means your disciple stays out twice as long.
Well, do we know what's down there? Because worst comes to worst, you just disciple mill and leave something on top. Oh, actually, mill draws, so discipling does get you some money. I do wish I would have been able to disciple a blacksmith there as Cider.
wish the White Lighthouse were a peasant. Seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, that's fair. More disciples does not seem bad for Cider, although game seems way over anyways. I really don't know about the continued buying blacksmiths when you can disciple them.
Yeah.
Why did Mick not call the teacher there for a token on Fortress? Oh, because it's Cider's turn. That's why. Never mind. Yeah, that makes sense.
I keep seeing this teacher thinking it's a mastermind from the last game. And so my immediate reaction was just, oh, mastermind the blacksmith. That's a lot of cards.
I think you disciple blacksmith here. If you think, do you think you compile here, Asmic? You have two disciples. If they both disciple now because you still have. Well, if they both disciple blacksmiths, and you grave robber blacksmith into blacksmith. Oh, you have 8 dead. That's right. So then it's probably not happening again now. It's on the table for next turn, though.
Decisions.
Yes.
What if we disciple the
That's
grave
an
robber? Yeah, sounds alright to me.
If you disciple grave robber, blacksmith to blacksmith, fortress into fortress, or fortress into grobber. You have, or let's say fortress into grobber. You have 2 grave robbers left, and there are 2 blacksmiths and 2 fortresses. That looks reasonable. I guess you do 2 fortresses into grobber. Yeah, this is it winning? No, it's probably still not, but
I have very little conception. So besides fortresses, you're piling out blacksmith?
yeah. You grave robber, fortress to fortress, blacksmith to blacksmith, blacksmith to, or yeah, blacksmith to blacksmith, and blacksmith to blacksmith. Maybe it's peasant to fortress. Yeah. So if you have 12 money here, yeah, it's possible. Well, we have 2 in play, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in hand. When you play those 2 fortresses, what do you draw? I think you can play one of the fortresses now without much harm. Or okay. That felt like the wrong order, although it seems to be exact anyways. Yeah. No, you had the win. You had it. No.
Tragic.
Debt cards are off limits unless you're grave robbing to other debt. Because, I mean, if you trash something worth 8 debt, the maximum you can gain off of it is something worth 3 coins and 8 debt, which Royal Blacksmith is within that realm, so it still works.
Yeah, I got this. So, Dominion cards have 3 separate costs. You got the cost in coins, and you also got the cost in potion, and the cost in debt. And then the way you compare prices is if 2 cards are equal in 2 of those, for example, how the vast majority of cards cost no potion and no debt, well then whichever one is the third, it's has higher in the third is the higher priced card. So like remodel costs 4 money, no potions and no debt, so it costs more than moat, which costs what do you call it?
2 money?
Actually, it doesn't. We were talking about
We're talking about grave robber with debt cards, right?
yeah. Okay, yeah. So sorry, I'm a little tired. I totally lost my train of thought. Anyways, if it costs the same in 2 regards and more in 1, it costs more. And that applies not just to costs in terms of coins. Like there was that situation earlier we were discussing golem and the potion cost, as I recall, where if advisor costs 4 and then golem costs 4 and a potion, that makes advisor cheaper than golem for haggler purposes. So you can buy a golem and gain advisor off of haggler. But if a card costs more in one and less in another, then it's neither less than nor more than another card. So for example, if you compared golem to engineer, right? Golem costs more in money and more in potion, but engineer costs more in debt. Neither of those is the more expensive or the cheaper card. And so, like, you couldn't turn a royal blacksmith into a mining village because mining village costs more than 4 more than royal blacksmith, or sorry, more than 3 more, costs 4 more. But royal blacksmith costs less than 3 more than royal blacksmith because royal blacksmith costs exactly as much as royal blacksmith. Alrighty.
Clear win for Cider there? Probably.
IDK. Oh, nice to find that blacksmith on the top. That hand was looking dicey for a second there from Mick, like he was going to dud.
I mean, Mick had an opportunity to save the black. No, actually, no, the disciple wasn't in hand yet. But now you just disciple blacksmith, and it's probably trivial.
Yeah, this looks like it should be a pretty simple win.
Yeah. Grab blacksmith, grab blacksmith. And then, or. Yeah, you can also do it with disciple.
Alrighty, next kingdom. This looks pretty interesting. What do we got? First thing that jumps out to me is we got Scholar plus Artificer plus Villages. So you discard a bunch of stuff with Artificer to gain things, and then you have Scholar right back on up. So that's a thing. Yeah, Scholar looks to be the only draw. So I think that's what you're doing. There's lots of Scholars, Workers' Villages, Artificers, Hamlets. Hamlet's about as good as Workers' Villages in this kingdom because it doesn't matter if you discard your playing Scholar. Still slightly worse because Artificer and stuff, but not a bad king for Hamlet. I can see Sculptor being relevant. And there's good fours. Yeah, Sculptor is certainly going to get gained. Plus, there's remake to turn those good fours into good fives.
This kingdom looks pretty explosive. With what you all mentioned.
Yeah, they both open Cathedral, which seems pretty natural. Cathedral's really strong. There's no... I guess remake is not a bad thinner, but... yeah, Cathedral seems right. I was thinking you could get away with remake Border Guard or something and try to thin with remake, but there's really not that much disincentive to playing with Cathedral here. Trashing a random card doesn't hurt too much, and Cathedral is just faster at thinning than remake is.
You'd much rather the passive thinning here, I think, especially because there's not a good 3 cost for the estates to have any benefit of being remade rather than cathedraled.
Yeah, I think that there's a scenario maybe on 2-5. I think you're pretty likely to skip remake, or sorry, skip Cathedral, because maybe open Artificer and then Artificer for a Sculptor and you go for there, and then you're just really slow to buy Cathedral if you ever buy it. Might as well gain remakes off of Sculptor at that point, maybe. On 5-2, I think you might just open Cathedral anyway. Probably do.
It's not as sad to skip it here as it often is. Like, with Artificer for remake, it's... I mean, there's an alright other option. It's not as good, but it's not putting you like 3 turns behind like it normally does.
So 2 Artificers here. Seems good. And probably a Scholar now for Cider. What about for Mick over there? Artificer?
2 Artificers as well. That looks not bad. The Scholar's already in business. Here I think you just want a Workers' Village and then not trigger the shuffle.
Not trigger the shuffle. Oh, for Mick. I was looking at Cider's hand. Because Cider also, as his first play of the turn, was going to want a Workers' Village. I'm thinking... I don't know what I'm thinking. Modify looks reasonable. A lot of things look reasonable. Modify looks good because you got these silvers that I'd love to turn into better cards. You can also
I
do that
think
with
you can,
remake, which you can gain off of sculptures.
I think in terms of the five cost here or the five costs here, you don't really need modify because what it does remake can do as well for, and it's not much worse than modified doing it. When you consider artificer, scholar, and sculptor being available at the same price point, I think you just don't ever wind up taking modify.
Oh, certainly later in the game, you'll take modify to turn the good stuff into really good stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you're probably right about that actually.
I think Cider set of buy set is pretty reasonable. Artificer top deck copper as a combo with Cathedral. Combo is a strong word, but I would call that a nifty interaction. Once you add a junk
Listen,
to trash, if your artificer is your last draw of your turn, you could put a copper on top to guarantee you've got junk to trash.
yeah.
Yeah, if you are ever deck is clean, then you can think about top decking a copper. All the workers' villages. All the workers' villages sounds pretty reasonable to me.
Yeah, why not? I mean, they're going to be very useful down the stretch, and then that leaves Mick with only three.
Yeah, again,
Isn't
that's not into the game or anything because there's hamlets, which with Scholar is very workers' village esque. But you don't want to watch villages.
Yeah, I think the thing with Hamlet as opposed to Workers' Village is you can really only, if you want to be gaining five stuff Artificer, you can only play one. Only play one for a bonus. You can play you can only take one bonus because even if you play one, you can't be discarding more than one. Because with Hamlet taking just plus action, it's hand size negative by one, which if you're starting with a 7 card hand from Scholar, you are then down to 6. If you play Artificer to gain a 5 cost, you're down to 1, which is the Scholar you need to play. So with Workers' Village, you can just take more of those bonuses without having to worry about gaining worse things with Artificer.
Yeah, I mean, workers' village is the better card and all, but like if you lose the workers' village split, I don't think that's on its own not a reason you're losing the game. With Hamlet, maybe you throw in an extra scholar or two because you have to discard one more time.
At the end of the game, it's just not optimal. Enough so that I think it's worth pressing that advantage as Cider.
Okay, so piles are looking extremely low. I'd be thinking about colony at this point. Especially after we just gained a scholar, lowering one of the low piles. How much we got here? 3.
Oh, you can't colony here as Mick.
Uh, oh, that's an unfortunate detail.
Province? I think you. Yeah, you need the points.
Yeah, province is probably fine. Whoa, whoa, whoa! What? What? Cider? What?
I guess if you think this is the final turn, then the camel train is potentially better than Sculptor in terms of lowering piles because it gives you the freedom to lower a 5 instead of a
I
4.
guess he has a lot of faith in his deck.
I think in any case you'd rather trust the Artificer.
trash the artificer. I would have just trashed the camel train without a second thought.
Trashing camel train without a second thought's often the correct thing to do. But if you think it's your final turn, this could have been the exception.
Okay, well, Mick is taking a second thought. Mick is trashing the artificer. Okay, so Mick is surely going for it. Alright, so...
Isn't it satisfying when Scholar just draws 7 cards without discarding stuff?
What was it?
Isn't it satisfying when Scholar just draws 7?
That's a lot of draw. This looks like a win.
If nothing else, the game's over this turn. Yeah, is it a win yet?
Yeah.
Artificer for Scholar. Sculpt something. Sculpt even mistake.
Mick is thinking hard about this. What information does he believe himself to have that we lack that makes him not just want to win immediately?
I guess if you Artificer for Duchy here, you sculpt Camel Train, or you sculpt Camel Train to exile Scholar, you buy a state, it's a win in hand. There are probably 100 lines. That's the one that does it in hand.
You buy a... Say that line again?
You Artificer discarding 5 for Duchy. You sculpt a Camel Train. With that Camel Train, you exile the Scholar. I guess it's only a tie.
Yeah. But yeah, this is super trivial. It looks like in the end he went with the obvious line, which is gain Scholar and take province. But I think there's plenty of other lines.
Oh yes.
Oh, continuing on the tradition of potion cost cards. Every other game, we've got double dose this time.
It's our second in the match, I think, that we've had 2.
This kingdom is almost super interesting. It needs a better gainer. I could see Mandarin coming up here. Oh man, that is so awkward. So awkward.
2/5 is abysmal.
So like, I would totally put a Mandarin into my deck, just because King's Court is going to make you really want virtual payload, anything that's King's Courtable, because it scales up really quickly, and Mandarin's the best virtual payload in this kingdom. But man, having to top deck your treasures is so terrible here, because your deck's full of coppers, which you're going to be playing, and you're not going to be trashing. There's no copper trashing.
I think you're going to play with like 2 gears, which are going to set aside coppers each turn, or you're probably playing with at least 4 gears, 2 per turn, that set aside enough stuff for scrying pool as only draw to be viable with King's Court and horse traders.
Yeah, I think the true answer is we're going to be King's Courting horse traders and not Mandarin. Just Mandarin is too hard to get.
If there's a turn where you King's Court horse traders and have no draw, or have no treasures in hand rather, then maybe you pick up a Mandarin then.
That could work. How'd they open? I'm going to guess Gear Potion, just like in the Kingdom. And so the prophecy foretold. The ex post facto prophecy. Yeah, I like early Apothecary a lot. Apothecary Scrying Pool is like a real pleasant set of cards together because Apothecary is really good early, Scrying Pool is really good later. Plus, those early Apothecaries help you line up your Scrying Pools.
Yeah, well, with no copper trashing as well, if you're maybe limit yourself to 2 gears, and with setting aside estates, everything in your deck is going to be a action or a copper or a potion, which means Apothecary will help you set up good spools.
Someone's ahead here. I guess it's Mick. Yeah, Mick looks like he's in the lead. The big middle game question is going to be, when do you throw an outpost into your deck? Because about the time you're getting deck control, you want to put outpost in there. Because like, if you can do it reliably, outpost just doubles the quality of your turns. Right there. That's huge. The downside, of course, is if you put outpost in a weak deck, it's not doing a whole lot because you just have a dud turn. And Mick has not only taken the outpost for us, he's already playing his outpost before Cider's even got an outpost. And to me, that seems like a good indicator that Mick is a big lead here.
Yes. I think when you get outposts as well is when you switch to scrying pool, because you do need something to help you make that turn quality passable. And you're not doing that as well with apothecaries.
More King's Courts. I hear that's a good card.
I have to agree with John's here. Drawing that spool there on the outpost turn was kind of cheating.
Someone should report him to the proper authorities.
Mm-hmm. It's fine. Aaron Jesus will have his vengeance later on. Good thing it doesn't matter, indeed. For Cider, there's just Spool King's Court, I feel like. No, I guess the consideration is, do you get the outpost now?
Yeah, outpost is a serious consideration. In fact, I think outpost is correct. And probably Scrying Pool. Oh, Horse Traders is ambitious, but maybe Cider just thinks he's got to play risky to have any chance back in this. Which, given the hand he's looking at, seems like a probably not.
No, he's got Apothecary set aside, so.
That's why it's probably not. Definitely not.
Yes.
Gear is lovely for setting up your outpost turns to not dud. There's a King's Court down there, I believe. Or am I mistaken with that?
Too.
So, be thinking about King's Courting horse traders. Yeah, so what if you... Let's see. So you play...
King's Court horse traders and Apothecary draws it up.
Yeah, so you play Gear, you set aside Workers' Village Estate, And then King's Court Horse Traders, double Apothecary, play Outpost. I guess the concern of that is what?
No, I'm just saying that looks solid.
Yeah. Maybe he's got this thought of, that sets aside a Workers' Village and a junk card, which is pretty good for not dudding. Maybe he wants to play more conservatively. And you could set aside. You could set aside Workers' Village. Oh, that. This seems fine. This seems fine to me.
It's not terrible. Yeah, if you set aside Workers' Village Apothecary, that leaves 1 copper on top.
Yeah, you top deck a copper, but with the benefit of also having a Apothecary hand. Yeah, so this line foregoes a little bit of money. 2 money, I think, in total. But it comes with like a very low risk of dudding, and maybe that's just how you want to play it and mix shoes when you're ahead.
Yeah.
Is buying Outpost first with a 2/5 very bad? I would say generally yes. I think it's pretty unlikely for that to be good.
Unless there's something that... Oh, sorry.
I was going to say probably the best scenario would be with a page, because then the Outpost is cycling you through your deck to play the page more, and that's your main goal.
Yeah. If there's cheap cards you want, and then Outpost is a good way to get them more often. If there's something like Alms, then you don't mind hitting like 1 or 2 on your Outpost turn.
Yeah, like there is a sense in which pre-deck control Outpost is like a smithy, because it's going to draw you through extra cards. But there's also a sense in which Outpost is not like a smithy, which is that its art is different, and also that you're not drawing the 3 cards at the same time as the 5 card starting hand. And part of what you're usually trying to do in the early game is spike big price points. And so the value of opening Smithy Silver, for example, is you hit 5 or 6, whereas Outpost, while it's drawing you 3 cards, that's only good if you want to draw for cycling purposes, like getting your page or something more often. It's not so useful if you're drawing because you want to buy the other good 5s. Where is the right side bridge of Outpost even leading to, by the way?
It's when you get Outpost and Mission on the same turn. It's that like 3rd extra turn. Maybe Outpost Voyage?
Is that a bridge? What? Maybe that's a naturally occurring rock formation? Like, it doesn't quite have the same arch shape as the one on the left. It seems a little flatter to me. Look at the curvature of the bottom. And it doesn't seem to have that clear kind of guide rails type thing going on the sides. So maybe it would just form like that.
It does have that kind of shadow thing on the right, though. That indicates maybe an opening?
The shadow,
or something inside?
Shadow on
Actually, I don't know why that would be a shadow, but there's...
What shadow on the right?
There's that dark dot right before you get to the rock on the right.
Oh, on the left of the rock.
Yes.
Ah.
Maybe you go in there, maybe it's hollow.
Why would you put the hole there?
Maybe it's a stairwell leading in. The rock does seem to widen at the bottom, so maybe it's more of a cave situation. Possibly it connects underwater as well. To the main outpost.
Alright, Cider's turns are a lot shorter than Mick's are.
Yep.
Poor Mick. He had his horse traders in hand, ready to go and everything, and Cider across 2 turns has not even played a single scrying pool to activate a horse trader's reaction.
Does Cider have a scrying pool?
You know, I presumed that, but maybe I shouldn't have.
I know Mick has at least 2. Maybe Mick has all 3. Who knows?
Surely Cider's got a scrying pool by now, right? Right, Cider?
We'll find out this turn. Nope. Mick
Yeah.
is all 3.
Okay. Well, so the horse trader's ship was never gonna sail.
Indeed.
GG's.
Yeah.
This is well and truly over. Congratulations to Cider on winning the league, despite losing that last game. He long since clinched it. And congratulations to Mick, the scrappy underdog who just made it to A this season, is already in championship finals. I think he's a new up-and-comer to look out for.
I'm not quite sure what Mick's done in the league in the past, but definitely excited to see where it goes in the future.
Hey, I think he's
Maybe
at least
even
had some modest
if-
success in the past, but this is a upward trajectory. Pay attention to.
Absolutely. Anyhow, congrats to both Cider and Mick. Mick for winning this match, I think, and Cider for winning the championship.
Yeah.
Thanks, JNails, for commentating as well.
No problem. That's the match.